Welcome to SL Toons Presents on SL Tonight, where we bring classic public domain comics to life with restored art and dramatic readings. Today we're diving into a rare 1955 gem from Famous Funnies, Tales from the Great Book, number 2, featuring the powerful artwork of John Lehti. This issue delivers epic Old Testament adventures, Joshua's faithful march on the fortified city of Jericho, where walls tumble by divine power, the miraculous sparing of baby Moses, the fiery furnace that couldn't touch Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and the tense encounter of King Saul with the Witch of Endor. These are timeless stories of faith, courage, and miracles, adapted in vibrant Golden Age comic style. Sit back, turn the pages with us, and experience the drama as it was meant for mid-century readers. Let's begin with the explosive cover story, Joshua Marches on Jericho. When the Hebrews were held in bondage by the Pharaoh of Egypt, he ordered all their boy babies to be put to death. Now at that time, a woman of the house of Levi had a son named Moses. We have hidden the child for 3 months. I'm afraid we can hide him no longer. Fear not, I will place him in this basket made of bulrushes. I have sealed the cracks with pits so it will float. I will place this basket here by the river bank. Now, Miriam, hide in the bushes nearby and stand guard over your baby brother. Yes, mother, I'll watch him carefully. Shortly afterwards, the Pharaoh's daughter came to the river to bathe. Seeing the basket, she sent her maid to fetch it. Oh, look, your highness, it's an abandoned baby. It must be one of the Hebrews' children. Isn't it cute? I'm going to keep him. But your highness, if you are going to keep this child, you'll need someone to care for it. Shall I get a Hebrew woman to nurse it for thee? Yes, so quickly, and bring her to me. Nurse the child, I will pay thee good wages. Nothing could make me more happy. I will raise him well for you. So, by a stroke of good fortune, the mother regained the child, and when he was grown, Moses became the greatest leader of the Hebrew people. Tales from the Great Book, Joshua Marches on Jericho. Upon Moses' death, Joshua becomes leader of the Israelites and guides them across the Jordan River into the land promised them by God. Over 40 years of wandering through burning deserts and over dangerous mountains, following their exodus from Egypt, the Israelites finally sight the land of their fathers. The tribes had advanced steadily, but now, directed ahead, lies the heavily fortified enemy city of Jericho. Being wise in the ways of war, Joshua has sent 2 spies into Jericho. Now comes the report. They have heard of our victories over King Og and King Simon, and the people hide in fear. His tale is hard to believe. Joshua sets out alone to scout Jericho. And the first sight of Jericho's splendor and might is an awesome one indeed. Before trying to spot any weak points in this fortress, one must find a location secure from enemy eyes, for to be detected now, all alone, would mean capture and death. It is a powerful city, majestic, wealthy. The key stronghold guarding approaches to all cannon, and surrounded by the most heavily fortified walls Joshua has ever seen, yet he must conquer and destroy it. But how? How can this be done? Such a strong city. Any lives must surely be lost. Suddenly, from behind comes the crackle of a stone knocked loose. Joshua is not alone. Not knowing if it's his friend or foe, Joshua's sword is out in a flash. Are you for us or for our enemies? Hey, it is us as captain of the army of the Lord that I come. What does my Lord command of his servant? First, remove your shoes, for the place where you stand is holy. And Joshua reverently obeys. So this messenger of the Lord unfolds God's decree, how Jericho must be taken, to prove all canon that Israelites will win by divine help alone, not needing the sword. All of your men of war shall march around the city once each day for 6 days. led by 7 priests with ram's horns and the ark of the Lord. On the 7th day, circle the city 7 times. The 7th time, give loud blasts on the horns and great shouts by all the people. Thus will the walls fall flat. Jericho will be yours. Great rejoicing, Joshua hurries back to camp, not knowing that trouble waits for him. You say we only to march around the city once each day for 6 days, and the 7th day circle it 7 times, and do nothing but blast on the horns whenever and shout loudly? We are not to attack with weapons. Hey! The priests are troubled over this strange battle strategy. They walk away to discuss it. Has Joshua suddenly gone mad? He will make the Ark of the Lord's covenant, written by God himself, an easy prey for our enemies. He insists that it lead a march where our soldiers are not going to fight. Meanwhile, word of Joshua's battle strategy has passed to the camp, to the captains of the army. What is the child's game Joshua would have us play? Come, let us ask the priests if all we have heard is true. And soon the outer court of the tabernacle is filled with many angry cries, while the priests try to maintain a calmer attitude. We are not children, but men armed by God to fight his holy battle, and fight we will. Do not be hasty. Let us give more thought to this. But the captains grow weary of the arguments, and they march upon Joshua's tent. They have picked the most valiant captain as spokesman, and now he prepares to speak and act according to the custom of the day. By savagely, ferociously hurling a javelin into the ground at Joshua's feet and thundering in a deep voice, "We challenge your right to the leadership of Israel." Something that must be answered quickly and decisively. Are you with me or against me? By whose word are we to be with you? By the word of the Lord. Knowing that anyone who misused the name of the Lord or questioned his word would meet death, the Israelites now willingly submit to their great leader. Now let us make ready. And the Israelite camp hums with preparation for the march upon Jericho. Weapons are sharpened and the ark prepared, the ram's horn made ready. Now the army of Israel begins the first day's advance on Jericho. And the eyes of the marching soldiers look off into the ark for inspiration and encouragement. But other eyes also look upon it, enemy eyes. Now the thunder of the mules' speedy hooves echo over the sun-baked plains. Scouts are riding to warn the king of Jericho. Dusty and tired, they interrupt the king's pleasant court life. He cries out, "The Israelite warriors are coming! Sound the trumpets! Let every soldier guard the walls!" And with the brazen notes of the trumpets ringing in the air, Jericho hastens to defend itself. All eyes are turned to the east, where huge dust clouds from the marching army can now be seen. And from the inner wall of this mighty fortress, the captains of Jericho's army carefully study the approaching Israelites for any weakness by which to defeat them. "But where are their war machines?" cries one. "Their chariots, battering rams? They have none," another replies excitedly, "and that is their weakness. If they but knew, for Joshua marches beside something far more powerful than a mere war machine, the Ark of the Covenant." And now the archers of Jericho wait for the Israelites to march within range of their war bows, wait within a death drawn tight on their bowstring. The trained eyes of the Israelite soldiers can tell what the movements on the wall mean. They can exactly a deadly shower of arrows any moment. But who would seek shelter? Who would run and hide? Like their leader Joshua, the Israelites' faith is stronger than any fear. These soldiers are carrying out the orders of the Lord himself, and they know that they cannot be harmed. "Now," mutters the officer in command, "now they are within bow range," and on his orders a volley of arrows goes hissing into the air, up into the blue sky, cutting a sharp, swift pathway, then curving downward in an ominous descent to What is this? What has happened? Every arrow falls short of the mark. The soldiers of Jericho are stunned. Did a sudden high wind spring up and blow down the arrows? Or did the very hand of God stop them in their flight? Who amongst them can ever tell? It is their God that protects them, shouts an officer of the wall. See, even now they carry him in a gold box. His power has stopped our arrows. That box must be captured, and their God destroyed in it. I shall lead the attack at once. Now a hand-picked group of Jericho's soldiers, the fastest runners, the most fearless swordsmen, wait inside the gate, wait for the signal to charge Jericho. And, as if fate were on the side of Jericho, the Israelite procession stopped suddenly, with the ark directed in front of the gate. But before the lookout on the wall can signal below, the trumpet's ear-piercing blast splits the air, and Joshua bellows, "Shout, for the Lord has given you the city!" Never before has such a thunderous din been heard, for the Israelites shout as with one gigantic voice, expressing their complete faith in God to crush the towering walls. The rolling waves of sound break over the walls, echo through vibrating buildings. The ground trembles, the entire city shakes, and the walls come tumbling down. Over the heaps of broken brick and stone, through swirling clouds of unsettled dust, Joshua and the Israelites sweep into the city conquered without the use of a single sword, just as the Lord had promised. And for over 500 years, this former city of beautiful palms remains a bare, desolate pile of rubble, a 5 centuries long memorial to the power and invincibility of the Israelites, Lord God Almighty. The fiery furnace, which also happens to be the name as the painting. In the year 587 BC, Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, gathered a powerful army and marched on Jerusalem. The Israelites fought valiantly but retreated from the advancing enemy hordes, and soon the besieged city was conquered. To the great dismay of the Israelites, the victorious ruler removed part of the holy vessels from the temple and carried them off to display as trophies in his treasure house. Some time later, Nebuchadnezzar commanded a servant of his household named Ashpenaz to find the most intelligent and educated youths among the Hebrews. He announced that these young men would be trained for positions of high favor in his court. Among the youths chosen for his honor were Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. The enemy king ordered that they be taught the language and lore of the Chaldeans, who were the astrologers and magicians of Babylon. He also commanded that they should receive a daily portion of meat and wine and other delicacies from his own provision. The young Hebrews, however, preferred not to eat better than their kinsmen in bondage. So when Ashpenaz set the royal food before them, they refused to eat it. Instead, they requested that they be given a simple diet of peas, beans, and water. Ashpenaz was frightened, but the king commanded that you eat his food, he cried. If you don't eat it, you will become thirst and die undernourished, and he'll be angry and cut off my head. Don't worry, answered Daniel. We'll be just as healthy on the diet we've chosen. Try us for 10 days. If at the end of that time we appear to be less nourished than the other young men of the court, you may deal with us as you see fit. Finally, Ashpenaz agreed to give them the food they wanted. At the end of 10 days, the 4 young men appeared to be healthier and fatter than the others who ate from the king's larder. From then on, Ashpenaz withheld the royal wine and meat and continued to feed them the simple diet they preferred. God favored the 4 young men. Their learning and wisdom soon became the talk of the court, and when at last they were brought before the king, he questioned them and was amazed at their great knowledge. "By my beard," he chuckled, "you are 10 times wiser and more learned than all the magicians and astrologers in my realm." As a consequence of this meeting, the king made Daniel ruler over the entire province and appointed Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to other positions of high office. With regret, Daniel parted from his 3 friends, but they knew that they would meet again shortly. Months passed. Then one day Nebuchadnezzar summoned his royal craftsmen to come before his throne. "I command you," he said sternly, "to make a huge image of gold. I want it to be of the finest and biggest idol you can fashion." Within a few hours, the king's designers and artisans and goldsmiths were hard at work. Day and night they hammered and chiseled, and the smelting ovens roared. Finally, after many weeks of labor, the idol was ready, and the king was summoned to inspect it. To the king's great delight, he discovered that it was 45 feet high, as an impressive creation of superb skill. "Wonderful!" he shouted with glee. "You have done well. It is truly a magnificent idol." After Nebuchadnezzar commanded that the great image of gold should be taken out and set up in the plain of Dura, he retired to his chambers to draw up a royal decree. Then he sent for his princes, governors, captains, judges, treasurers, counselors, sheriffs, and all other high officials of the kingdom to dedicate the idol. When everyone was assembled, the king ordered his herald to announce the royal decree. The herald mounted a platform with an elaborate show of dignity and read the announcement at the top of his voice. "To you it is commanded, O peoples, that at whoever time you hear the sound of horns and music, you shall fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king has set up. All those who fail to do so shall be cast into the midst of a fiery furnace." A deep silence fell upon the multitude. Suddenly a great din of horns and music echoed across the plain. Immediately everyone fell down and adored the idol as the king had commanded. Everyone, that is, except Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They stood resolute in their love of God and steadfastly refused to worship the false idol. Now the astrologers and magicians of the court, who had lost favor with the king because of the young Hebrew's wisdom, looked upon this act of defiance with intense delight. Spurred on by their jealousy, they rushed to the king and told him of the young men's disobedience. Nebuchadnezzar rose from his throne, trembling with rage. No one had ever dared to disobey him before. He raised his fist, and his voice thundered with fury. "So they refuse to worship my idol, eh?" he roared. "Well, I'll teach them to disobey the king. Bring them to me at once." When the three young men were ushered into his presence, the king was pale with suppressed anger. He eyed them coldly and gnashed his teeth as he spoke. "Have I heard correctly?" he demanded. "Is it true that you have refused to worship my golden idol?" "Yes, sir," the young men replied. The king scowled at this open admission of guilt. He rose and towered above the steadfast Israelites. "I'll give you one more chance," he bellowed. "I shall order my musicians to play another fanfare. Then if you don't fall down and adore the idol, into the fiery furnace you'll go." "We are not afraid," answered Shadrach. "We shall still refuse to obey you." "God will protect us," said Meshach. "If it is his will, he will deliver us from your fiery furnace." "In spite of your threat," said Abednego, "we will not worship your idol." Nebuchadnezzar loomed over them. His former affection for the three youths changed to hatred. "You have disobeyed me," he shouted, "and the penalty is death." Then he turned to his general and commanded, "Heat the fire! Heat it 7 times hotter than usual." Soon the execution fire was blazing with intense fury. The great tongues of flame that leaped from the mouths of the furnace were so hot that no one could go near it. But Nebuchadnezzar, in his anger, was anxious for the immediate death of the three youths. "What are you waiting for?" he screamed to his officers. "Bind them and throw them in, at once!" The soldiers bound Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and dragged them, fully clothed, toward the fire. They staggered before the blazing heat. They threw them headlong into the furnace, but in doing so, the soldiers got too close to the fire and were devoured by the flame. In the meantime, Nebuchadnezzar, his dark eyes gleaming with satisfaction, watched the three young men as they fell into the midst of the fire. But his satisfaction was short-lived. His fiendish expression changed to a gasp of surprised terror. He approached as close to the furnace as he dared and gave an open-mouthed astonishment. "Look!" he cried. "They're walking about, praising God in the midst of the flames. They appear to be unharmed, and there's someone else walking with them. He looks like the Son of God. The king stared, stricken, while he tried to collect his wits. Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, he shouted, come forth, come out of the furnace. The king and his high officials fell back in bewildered silence as the three young men stepped from the furnace. Not a hair on their heads was singed, no part of their garments was burned. They didn't even smell the smoke from the fire. Nebuchadnezzar stepped forward. His face had now softened with an expression of deep respect. Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, he murmured humbly. Blessed be the God who sent his angels to deliver his servants who believed him. Then the king issued a decree. Hereafter, he said, any people, any nation who speaks against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego shall be destroyed, and the houses laid waste, because there is no other God who could perform such a miracle. Nebuchadnezzar promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to positions of even greater power and honor than they held previously. And from that day forward, their influence was great in Babylon. The end. King Saul and the Witch of Endor. Saul, as king of Israel, has violated God's wishes many times. Now, in the twilight of his career, he faces the combined armies of 5 Philistine kings, but God is no longer with Saul. There is no one to whom he can turn for advice as, Tell the king. The wounded scout stumbles into camp. Hearing the commotion, Saul and his young son Jonathan hasten to learn the reason. What news have you? The Philistine army in the valley below. He has fainted. With his son Jonathan and several guards, King Saul climbs to the top of Mount Gilboa to view the reported enemy. Saul trembles in fear at the sight of a huge Philistine army nearly surrounding the mountain. Only God can tell me how to escape this trap. I must pray immediately. Is he trying to fool himself or us? Yeah, everyone knows that God has turned away from him long ago. Entering his tent, Saul prepares for prayer in the manner prescribed by the laws of Moses. But God does not answer his prayers, neither by signs nor dreams. If only Samuel were still alive, he could advise me. God never deserted him. Hurriedly, he summons his advisors. Find me a woman that has a familiar spirit, he demands. A witch. Witch? But there are no witches. You've driven them all from the country. Certainly there must be one that was overlooked. Find her for me. There is one at Endor. Good, I shall go to her immediately. Our king must be mad. It is against God's laws to have anything to do with a witch. Dreadful things are sure to come of this. Inside his tent, King Saul disguises himself so the witch will not recognize him. Saul asks for volunteers to go with him. Only 2 of the younger and more adventurous are willing. So leaving his son Jonathan in command, the king and his 2 men steal down the mountain. To reach Endor, they must cross the valley of Jericho, where the Philistine army is encamped. Occasionally they pass so close to the Philistine guards they can hear them breathing. Silently they wade through the swift current of the Kishon River, carefully, for there are slippery rocks, waiting treacherously for a misstep. Clack! That rock! I slipped! As one of the young soldiers learns, too late. Sounded like the ring of a sword to me. Came from over here, somewhere. Toons! I hear Israelites! I see nothing. You must have been imagining things. You drank too deep of the wine tonight. Next time you'll be dreaming you've captured Saul himself. Now all is clear. King Saul and his men continue their journey to Endor. Shortly, that is the cave as it has been described to me. See if she is in there. Slay me first, my king, but ask me not to go in there. I have children for guards instead of men. So, I shall lead the way. Who comes to my lair and what do you seek? I seek help and advice. What help can I give you? I want to bring up the spirit of the man I name. I cannot do such things. You know that King Saul has banished from Israel all those who have such powers. But I've been told otherwise. I have been told you have the power. Who sent you to trap me this way? You will cause me to lose my life. Fear not, I swear as the Lord lives, no punishment shall come to you. Whom do you want me to bring up? Samuel. And the Witch of Endor sets about her weird rituals. Suddenly her screams echo throughout the cavern as she peers into the swirling, misting fume. What is it? What do you see? Why have you tricked me? You are Saul. Fear not, I have sworn there will be no harm to you. But it is evident the witch has not expected her fakery to produce this scene she has just witnessed. Now, what did you see? Gods! Gods coming out of the earth! An old man in a mantle! Let me see. And as Saul stares into the swirling smoke, a vision slowly forms. The spirit of Samuel slowly emerges from the steamy mist. Why have you disturbed my peace? The Philistines have my army surrounded, and God has left me. So I have called you that you may make known to me what I should do. Why ask of me when the Lord has left you and is your enemy? The Lord has given your kingdom to David, even as I prophesied. You did not obey the Lord when you refused to destroy Olmec and many other ways at other times. That is why he has done this. Tomorrow you shall be with me. You and your son shall die at the hands of the Philistines. Thus the career of a proud king comes to a bitter end. Saul is broken by this pronouncement of doom, a prophecy that will come true on the morrow, exactly as Samuel has announced. Jesus cures the lepers. As Jesus entered a village on his way to Jerusalem, the lepers approached him. Jesus, Master, have mercy on us, mercy! And as they went along the road, they were cleansed. I am cured, so am I. Look, all of us are rid of our terrible disease. Go show yourselves to the priest, and you'll be made clean. One of the lepers returned to Jesus to express his gratitude. Glory to God. Thank you, Master, thank you. But were there not 10 made clean? Where are the other 9? None returned to give glory to God except you. Arise and go thy way, thy faith has made thee whole. Elijah, the prophet. In the 9th century BC, during the reign of King Ahab, Israel had fallen into a spiritual decay. Ahab was more evil than all the kings before him, and encouraged by his pagan wife Jezebel, he commanded the people to worship the false god, Baal. Sometimes even human victims were offered as sacrifices on the altars of the terrible deity, while the worshippers danced about them, howling like wild beasts. To this day, Jezebel is a term used to describe a wicked woman. This vicious queen hated all those who believed in God. She hunted down the prophets of Jehovah and slaughtered them without mercy. Kill them! Kill all those who will not adore Baal, the sun god! And then there appeared in Israel, no one knows from where, a strange, a holy, and angry man. Like an avenging spirit, he approached the throne of Ahab. I am the prophet Elijah. You will suffer for your wickedness, as the Lord God liveth before whom I stand. There shall be no rain in Israel until I say the word. The king was dumbfounded by the courage of Elijah. By the time he recovered his wife, the prophet had disappeared as quickly as he had come. The insolent dog! After him! Bring him back! He'll pay with his life for threatening me! But the soldiers searched for the prophet in vain. Later, on the outskirts of the city, the voice of the Lord came to Elijah. Get thee hence, and hide thyself by the brook of Cherith, and it shall be that thou shalt drink of the brook, and have commanded the ravens to feed thee there. Elijah dwelt for some time in the place appointed by God. The ravens brought him bread and meat, and when he was thirsty, he drank from the brook. The Lord is good, he feedeth me while famine is upon the rest of the land. Finally the brook dried up, and Elijah was fearful lest he die of thirst. But the Lord appeared to him again. Lord, what shall I do? Arise, get thee to Zarephath, and dwell there. Behold, I have commanded a widow woman to feed thee. So Elijah went to Zarephath. At the gate of the city he saw a woman gathering firewood. That must be the widow that God told me about. I pray thee, fetch me water and a morsel of bread. I have only a handful of meal and a barrel and a little oil. Gathering sticks that I may cook it for me and my son, that we may eat and die. Fear not, feed me first, and then thyself and thy son. The Lord has promised that the meal and oil will not fail until he sendeth rain upon the earth. I believe in your words, I will do as you say. Elijah dwelt for a time. It is indeed a miracle. The more meal we take from it, barrel, and the more oil we drain from the jar, the more they remain full. The Lord is good, he will not let us starve. Then one day a great tragedy befell the widow. Look at him, this morning he became sick, and now there's no breath left in him. Do not despair, give me thy son. Elijah carried the boy up to the loft to his own bed. O Lord my God, I pray thee, let this child's soul come into him again. The Lord heard the voice of Elijah shortly afterwards. See, thy son is alive. My son, O Elijah, thou art truly a man of God. Elijah set forth to obey the Lord's command. Once again he stood fearlessly before the king. For 3 years no rain had fallen, and there was a terrible famine in Israel. Then the word of the Lord came to Elijah, saying, Go, show thyself to Ahab, and I will send rain upon the earth. Art thou he who brought terrible trouble to Israel? My soldiers have sought everywhere to slay thee. Not I, but you have brought drought to the land. Ye have forsaken the commandments of the Lord. Now if you want rain, you will have to do as I say. Gather all the people of Israel on Mount Carmel to witness a contest of power between me and the 450 false prophets of Baal. On Mount Carmel, let the false prophets put a calf on their altar, and I will put a calf on mine. Then let them call on Baal, and I will call on the Lord, and the God that answers by setting fire to the wood beneath the altar will be the true God. All that morning the false prophets cavorted before their altar, calling on Baal in vain to set fire to the sacrifice. O Baal, hear us, set fire to the sacrifice. Ha ha, maybe your God is asleep. Cry louder, perhaps you can awaken him. Then Elijah rebuilt the altar and dug a wide trench about it. Pour water over everything to make the test more difficult. Fill the trench, nothing is impossible to the Lord. By evening all was ready. A respectful silence held the multitude. Hear me, O Lord, hear me. Let it be known that thou art God, that I am thy servant, and that I have done all these things at thy word. Suddenly, the Lord, he is God! The Lord, he is God! Ahab, you have seen the wonder of God. Now the rain will come. Follow me. Get thee down to thy palace before the rain stops thee. By the time Elijah and Ahab reached the palace, a great storm was sweeping over the land. See, Jezebel, my queen, the rains have come just as Elijah promised. Fool, maybe you're taken in by that wild-eyed prophet, but I'm not. Fuming with anger, the wicked Jezebel summoned a servant to her chamber. Take this message to Elijah. Tell him that I will have my vengeance. Tell him that I will have him slain by this time tomorrow. When Elijah received the message, he fled into the wilderness. What's the use, O Lord? I am discouraged. Please, take away my life. Arise and eat, Elijah, and go unto the Horeb, the mount of God. When Elijah reached Mount Horeb, he entered a cave, and again the word of God came to him. You think, Elijah, that you are the only one left who loves me, but do not be discouraged. There are 7,000 in Israel whose knees have not bowed unto Baal. O Lord, you have filled me with renewed hope. Courage rises within me. Now I can continue to do thy work. The paths of Elijah and Ahab never crossed again. Some years later, the wicked king was slain in a battle against the king of Syria. Master, I'm dying. Take me away from the battle. Eventually, Jezebel also perished. After Ahab's death, his son Ahaziah reigned as king of Israel. He too was a wicked man and adored the false god Baal, as his father had done before him. One day, King Ahaziah fell through a window and was seriously injured. I am grievously hurt. Go inquire of Baal Zebub, the god of Ekron, whether I shall recover or die. Yes, Master. The angel of the Lord appeared to Elijah and instructed him to meet the messengers of the stricken king. Halt! Is there not a God in Israel? Why do ye go to inquire of Baal-zebub, the god of Ekron? Tell King Uzziah that he will not rise from his bed. He shall die. When Uzziah heard Elijah's message, he was afraid. So he sent a captain and 50 soldiers to capture the prophet. Thou man of God, the king has ordered me to bring you to him. Come down. If I be a man of God, then let fire come down from heaven and consume thee and thy soldiers. Immediately fire descended from heaven and engulfed the soldiers. Once more, King Uzziah sent a captain and 50 men against Elijah, and again the soldiers were consumed by fire. Then again he sent another captain and 50 men, who pleaded with the prophet to spare their lives. Then Elijah suddenly appeared in the king's royal chamber. Your efforts to capture me have been in vain, because you have defied the God of Israel. You will surely die. So Ahaziah died according to the word of the Lord. But now the time had come when Elijah himself was to pass away. According to God's instructions, he had appointed Elijah to be his successor. As the day drew near for Elijah to leave this earth, he wanted to be alone. But Elijah would not leave him. Elijah followed Elijah until they reached Jordan. Pray thee, Elijah, before you go, let a double portion of thy spirit be upon me. Thou hast asked a hard thing. Nevertheless, if you see me when I am taken from thee, it shall be so. And behold, there appeared a chariot of fire and horses of fire, and Elijah was carried by a whirlwind into heaven. And thus, his mission accomplished, the prophet of justice Elijah vanished from this earth as mysteriously as he came. The end. The Good Samaritan. In one of his parables, Jesus tells us about a man attacked by thieves who was stripped of his garments and left for dead. Sometime later, a traveler came along, and seeing the victim of the robbers, he passed by the other side of the road. And shortly afterward, a Levite also passed the man and didn't help him. But when a Samaritan came along, he had pity on the unfortunate man. Poor fellow, you will feel better after I have bound your wound. The Samaritan put the man on his own beast and brought him to an inn. Here's some money, take good care of this man, and if you spend more than I am giving you, I will repay you when I pass this way again. And to this day, anyone who helps his fellow man is called a Good Samaritan. And that is the end of Tales from the Great Book, Issue 2. Powerful tales of faith, obedience, and God's deliverance. Brought to you through the dynamic art of John Lehti. If you enjoyed this classic comic reading, hit like, subscribe to SL Tonight, and comment which Bible story or public domain comic we should restore and read next. For the full high-resolution restored version, including enhanced covers and companion door illustrations, visit www.sltonight.com or our drive-in archive. Thank you for joining us. Stay faithful, stay adventurous, and we'll see you in the next SL Toons Presents. God bless.